بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم رب زدني علما.
So now the next thing, we'll try to understand the different core components of the SDA architecture. Now, when you talk about SDA architecture, there are three main components, or the core components we can say, which is going to provide you the SDA solution. So the complete SDA, the LAN automation or SDA is only possible with the help of these three different components. So the first one is Cisco DNA Center, and then the Cisco ISE, and then we have a network which is called as a campus fabric. We can say like underlay, overlay options. We can also add shared services in that, where you need to have some additional servers. Shared services also you can add up into this. So let's try to give a quick overview on this. Anyway, as we progress in our next sessions, I'll walk you through with a little bit more details, like the DNA overview and the functions in detail, and then the Cisco ISE, what exactly it will do, and also the understanding the overlay network or the campus, the fabric or underlay network, these kind of things. Let me just quickly brief overview of these three things. So the first one, the DNS center. Now, DNS center is typically called as a controller. Now, again, if you go back to the basics in the SDN concepts, we know that there will be a centralized controller which is going to control or do the orchestration and everything from the centralized place. And that device will be a Cisco DNS center. So this is going to be the main component or the centralized management software, the platform which is going to play a key role in the SDA architecture. So it is going to provide a unified interface in a form of graphical interface, which is going to allow the administrators to manage everything from here. So you define the policies here, you push the policies here, and you manage the networks here, and also everything you do it from a centralized place. So what are the things you can do it from here? Let me just say the policy-based network management. Like I said, the one thing you can define the policies. Now, with the help of DNS Center, the administrators can define and enforce the policies. Now, policies refers to like what kind of control or what exactly you want, or what and how you want the network to behave, and what resources they can access and what resources they should not access. So it will provide, and this is completely done based on identity. So identity means based on the user account, or it can identify the device. Like user example is, you have a guest user, then allow the access only to the internet, not to the internal network. If the user belongs to marketing, allow the access to the marketing resources, not the rest of the network. Or it can be a device type. So if it is an IP camera, then you can define, okay, access to specific network. If it is a VoIP device or an IP phone, then allow these specific settings. So these policies will dictate what level of access control you want. Additionally, you can also define what will be the quality of service parameters, and even you can define what will be the security settings. So everything you define under the policies. So these all policies will be configured from the centralized controller, that is your DNS center. Not only that, we can also do automation. So the entire automation process is also done from here. So if you want to automatically provision the devices, like I said, any new device will be added. You just want to push the configurations and the policies, and you don't want to go to each and every device manually. You don't want to do anything. So the entire automation point will be from the DNS center. So the automation and the provisioning is done from the DNS center. Again, we know the benefits, like minimizes the manual configurations, minimizes the risk of errors, other things. So the benefits we already know. So not only that, it also does the monitoring. So the monitoring and troubleshooting is also done from here only. So the DNS center is also responsible for monitoring your traffic and generate some alerts, and also take some proactive troubleshooting steps depending upon the configurations what you do it. As I said, even you can enforce the security policies from the same. So in short, the DNS center is going to be the main component. Now, not only that, even the next one, we also need to have the Cisco ISE. So we need an external server, authentication or AAA server, which will be done by Cisco ISE server. So again, the Cisco ISE is a kind of an external server which will do the job of AAA. Like whenever any user connects, let's say this is my PC, and this PC is connected by the guest user, and the guest user is trying to connect to my network, either through wired or the wireless. He will prompt the username, let's say the guest, and the password is also guest, let's say. So whenever he enters the right username and the password, there must be authentication process to be done. Or if the user belongs to marketing, then he will enter the user 1. Then again, there should be a way to check whether the username and the password is correctly configured or not. So mainly the job of the Cisco ISE is to do a centralized authentication, authorization, and accounting, basically to provide a network access, because any user trying to connect to the network, that must be authenticated. You cannot simply allow anyone to connect. You need to make sure that only the authenticated users are connecting to the network. So for that, you need a dedicated device to do all this job. And that's where we use the Cisco ISE. So which means you will be using a Cisco ISE server, which is integrated with the DNS center, because the ISE will do all the authentication job and the authorization job. And then there will be a policy exchange. And based on that, the DNS center is going to assign the different roles based on identification of the users or the devices. So we will be completely enforcing the policies completely. There will be integration of these two devices. Now, the third one, we have a campus fabric. Now, campus fabric refers to the infrastructure. So whatever the infrastructure you are using to connect, it can be routers, it can be switches, or it can be your WLC, the access points, all these things, servers, everything comes under the infrastructure. So this infrastructure, again, the servers is slightly different. Servers will come under shared services because they don't provide you the connectivity. So whatever the devices which provides you the connectivity, we can say like they are part of, they can be referred as a campus fabric. Now, again, in this, there is some kind of underlay and overlay. Underlay is actually how the devices are connected. Overlay is like the virtual networks which we are going to build on the top of the underlay. So we'll see a little bit more in detail as we move on in the next sections. But in short, when we talk about the campus fabric, it refers to the network devices which will be providing the connectivity. That particular part is referred as the campus fabric. So in the SDA architecture, so you need to have the campus fabric, the devices to build a network. We call this as a campus fabric, and you need a Cisco ISE server, which is doing your authentication, authorization, accounting job. And then you need a DNS center, which is going to provide the policies, provide the automation, provide the monitoring, everything from a centralized controller. So basically, these all work together to build a modern, policy-driven, and the secure LAN infrastructure supporting your automation and other things.